Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. Imagine speaking a language that took 1,000 years to create. Today, we're exploring the epic journey of the Russian language, from its ancient roots to modern times.
And what a journey it's been. The Russian language we know today emerged from a fascinating blend of different influences and historical transformations.
Let's start at the beginning. When did this journey actually begin?
Well, according to our historical records, it all started with what linguists call the Proto-Slavic language, which was the ancestor of all Slavic languages.
Proto-Slavic? That sounds really ancient.
It is. This was the common language spoken by Slavic tribes in Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe until around the middle of the first millennium.
So, how did we get from Proto-Slavic to Russian?
Around the 6th, 7th centuries, the Eastern Slavic language branch emerged, which would eventually become what we call Old Russian or Old East Slavic.
And this Old Russian, was it the same language we know today?
Not quite. It was actually the common ancestor of modern Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian languages.
Fascinating. But something major happened in the 9th century, right?
Yes, a crucial moment. In 863, two Greek brothers, Cyril and Methodius, created the first Slavic alphabet.
Wait, they created an entire alphabet? How did that happen?
The Moravian prince Rostislav asked the Byzantine emperor to send scholars who could create a writing system for the Slavs.
And they created what we now know as the Cyrillic alphabet?
Actually, they first created the Glagolitic alphabet. The Cyrillic alphabet came slightly later and was based on Greek letters.
You know what's interesting? There was actually a period when two different languages were used simultaneously in ancient Rus.
Exactly. Church Slavonic was used for religious and literary texts, while Old Russian was the language of everyday communication.
That must have created some interesting dynamics.
It did. And we can see this in documents like the birch bark manuscripts, which give us glimpses of everyday Old Russian language.
Speaking of historical documents, there's a famous one from the 12th century, right?
Yes, the Tale of Igor's Campaign, a remarkable piece that shows both literary and colloquial elements of the language.
And there was some controversy about its authenticity?
Yes, until linguist Andrei Zalizniak definitively proved it was genuine through detailed analysis of its language patterns.
Let's fast forward a bit. What happened to the language during the medieval period?
The feudal fragmentation of Rus led to the emergence of distinct regional varieties of the language.
And then came Peter the Great with his reforms, right?
Indeed. In 1708, Peter introduced the civil script, which simplified the alphabet and made it more suitable for secular printing.
There's an interesting story about one particular letter during these reforms.
Ah, you're thinking of the letter Izecha. It was removed and restored multiple times over the 18th century.
Really? What happened to it?
It was finally eliminated in the Soviet reform of 1918, though it had survived 3 previous attempts to remove it.
Speaking of reforms, the 1918 reform was pretty significant, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It simplified Russian orthography by removing several letters and changing various spelling rules.
But these changes didn't happen overnight, did they?
No, they were actually discussed and prepared long before implementation. The first proposals appeared in 1904.
You mentioned earlier that language evolves with society. Can you give us a recent example?
Well, even the COVID-19 pandemic influenced the language, introducing new terms and changing how we use existing ones.
That's fascinating. Language really is a living thing, isn't it?
Exactly. As Professor Gavrilov notes, language isn't a static structure. It's continuously developing and changing.
Let's talk about borrowed words. They've played a big role in Russian's development, haven't they?
They have indeed. Each historical period brought new borrowings from different languages.
Can you give us some examples?
During Peter the Great's time, many nautical and military terms came from Dutch and German, like Bilch and Soldat.
And what about more recent borrowings?
In the 20th century, English became the main source of borrowed words, especially in the second half of the century.
Why do languages borrow words from each other?
Often it's to name new concepts or to distinguish between similar but different ideas.
But sometimes borrowed words replace perfectly good Russian ones, right?
Yes, sometimes it's about prestige. People might prefer презентаций to представление, for example.
Looking back at this 1,000-year journey, what strikes you most?
The remarkable adaptability of Russian. As Lomonosov noted, it absorbed the best qualities of many languages.
Can you elaborate on that?
Lomonosov said Russian combined Spanish grandeur, French vivacity, German strength, Italian tenderness, and Greek and Latin conciseness.
That's quite a combination.
And it continues to evolve. Each generation adds its own contributions while preserving the core strength of the language.
So what's next for the Russian language?
Like any living language, it will keep adapting to new realities while maintaining its rich cultural heritage.
It's amazing to think about how many changes the language has already been through.
And each change reflects the society that used it, from ancient Slavic tribes to modern digital communication.
Do you think the pace of change is faster now than it used to be?
With technology and global communication, yes, but the basic process of adaptation remains the same.
What can we learn from this 1,000-year journey?
That language is both remarkably resilient and constantly evolving, just like the people who speak it.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Co-Pilot Podcasts.
Remember, every word you speak is part of this continuing 1,000-year journey.
Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration of the Russian language's evolution through time.